Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about learning music by ear. Quick reminder, there are no ads on this video, so if you'd like to support the channel, please go to the Patreon. Also, if you like and subscribe here on YouTube, it helps get it to people like you, and it's free. So let's get right into the episode. I think there's a big misconception when people say learning music by ear. I think they think it means one or the other, like no music theory and just hearing it, or all music theory and not listening, right? And that's a big misconception because it's really both, right? You really need to be able to have an understanding of music theory and a sharp ear. And we don't need perfect pitch to be able to hear intervals. And so it's just really something that we need to practice. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to find out where your instrument is in your vocal range, because that is your internal kind of melody maker, right? So where is your mandolin? Where is its lowest note, right? Pretty simple. It's that G note, right? Well, where is that in your head range? That's actually, if you really think about it, oh, I can go much deeper. That's actually kind of a little bit higher, kind of mid-level in my vocal range, which puts my transposition and actually like when I'm singing along with the solo in a different place, right? If I want to do it has to be up there when I'm singing along with it, or at least internally, right? So the idea is to kind of sing the melody along in your head while you're playing a solo so that you can keep your place, right? But to be able to do that, we have to know where the range of our instrument is, right? If we don't know where our instrument is, it's going to be kind of hard to sing a note, and it'd be lower than when you can get to or higher than when you can get to, and it's going to make it a little difficult. Also, by learning your range of your instrument or even a major scale, you're going to start to understand that notes aren't as far apart as it may seem, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to take the old tried and true method of do, re, mi, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We want to take that and we want to practice that along with the major scale, right? So you want to start singing along with your major scale practice. Da, 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 and I'm not going to get hung up on telling you to use exactly do, re, mi, but the idea must be a consonant followed by a vowel. So do, D-O, re, R-A, mi, M-E, fa, F-A, so, S-O, la, L-A, ti, T-E, da, D-A, right? So the idea is a hard consonant followed by a vowel. What that will do is as you progress in your understanding of music and your understanding of solos, when you hear things like a pull-off, as you get more developed in your understanding of music theory and your understanding of solos, you'll be able to sing along with more complex harmonies because you have practiced do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do. So like if we needed to break up that scale into multiple beats across the syllables, there's a lot there with that consonant vowel relationship that we can use. And so it's good to always even if you're not able to vocalize that completely, trying to have a mental placement of that is going to be huge. So number 2 and playing music by ear is going to be active listening, right? Passive listening would be just putting music on and letting it play and going, oh, isn't that nice? And we want to take that a step farther, right? We want to listen to music and kind of dissect it as it's going. So I'm going to play something and I'm not going to let you see it, but the idea would be to guess chord changes as they go. So in the song 9 Pound Hammer, well, the 9 pound hammer is a little too heavy, but for my size, if we can correctly guess chord changes, then we can start to hear voice leading and chord tones and things and how to move through chord progressions. But if you cannot guess or predict chord changes in a song, you need to really work on your ear training and your interval training so that when you do try to attempt some of this stuff, you're not completely lost in the blind. I think that that's the biggest struggle that most beginners have, right? They don't know where to start and where they should be putting their time. You should be able to put your time, you should be able to putting most of your time into learning chord progressions, because solos don't matter without chord progressions underneath them making sense of them, right? Even the most advanced players need a rhythm section to play over so that their solo makes sense. So to be able to make the most advanced solos that you'll ever want to play, you're going to really need to know chord structures underneath them. The easiest way to do that is to listen to music, right? We already kind of listen to music, should be listening to music already. And that idea of, okay, can I guess chord changes? It's going to get a little bit simpler because we listen to bluegrass music and folk music. And the general rule with that is that we have a key center, right? So if the song's in G, we know that we will start and end with the key of G. So if we're playing bluegrass, it's usually just a 1, 4, and 5, right? There's been some videos on my channel here that you can go find that if you take a major scale and you number it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 4, and 5 will be your major chords from that major scale. If you were to stack thirds and create harmony with each note in the major scale, or in other words, if you were to take the major scale and you were to give each one of those notes a chord, right? So the 4th and 5th scale degree would be major chords, right? So that's why you play a G, a C, and a D together. Cool. So if I'm in the key of G, and I know that I have to start and end in the key of G, so that means that whatever progression I'm going to play, because this is bluegrass and folk music, I'm going to resolve on the 1. I mean, I'm going to return home to the 1, and I'm going to start on the 1 with each bar. Well, that makes my choices a lot simpler if I know I only have 3 chords in the song, and if it's just 4 and 5, I have a 50-50 shot to be right, okay? So if I'm playing 9-pound hammer, again, you're not going to see my hand, ba-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, right? That right there is either a 4 or a 5. And so what you need to start doing is listening to the chord changes and trying to see what you can pick out. Now, the idea of a 4 versus a 5 is really simple. If we think of intervals as being a step, right? I'm taking a step. I'm starting at home, which is 1, and I'm going to take a step away from home, and how far I go away from home will determine what I call that second step, right? So for example, G to A is a second, G to B is a third, G to C is a 4th, G to D is a 5th, G to E is a 6th, G to F sharp is a 7th, G to G is a octave. Hopefully that makes sense, that what we just did right there was take a G major scale and we went from root to each position in the major scale, and we just called that a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and so on and so forth. The idea, though, is that each interval is a larger step than the one before it. This comes into play when we're trying to guess chord changes, because in that thought process, the 5th would be farther away from its home than the 4th, right? So let's listen to that, for example. So here's a root, and here's a 4. Here's a root 5. Here's a root octave. So if we mentally make a kind of scale here, we can see that the 4 is placed here, and the 5 is placed above that, and the octave above that, right? So being able to hear those differences are called intervals, and that's going to be the main way that you understand chord changes, right? Because if you're at home and you go farther away, higher, that's a D. If you go home and you're a little bit closer, that's a 4. So being able to pick out those things, those are going to be your first avenue into learning to play music by ear. From there, we can work on some of the stuff that we've talked about on the channel here, where we're voice leading through arpeggios. Here's a quick example. Right? We're using kind of the 3rd of the G up 1 semitone to voice lead through that G to C change. Right? Same kind of change can happen from D back to G and so forth. There's other videos on the page. If you like to check those out, please do so. From there, you would think that, okay, we're going to go full scale now, but we're not really. We can make extensions, which means we can take it from a 3-note chord, which are basic chords, and they call that basic harmony, and we can make what's called complex harmony, which means we have 4 notes in a chord, which is where you get 7th chords from, major 7th chords, minor 7th chords, so on and so forth. And that complex harmony, and you just think if you've got 4 notes, then that means you're going to have one triad here and one triad here, right? So you end up becoming a little bit more in depth once you add extensions. But let's take, for example, it just gives you another avenue to voice lead through. It's not as complex as it seems, but it can get extremely deep. And from there, you can add, your pentatonic scales and your melodic and chromatic scales and stuff like that. And I think this is a really, really good starting ground for most people trying to learn music by ear, especially through the mandolin. And a reminder, I give private lessons, so please reach out to me, send me a DM, come to Instagram, come to Facebook, come to TikTok, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks.